The 2019 NFL season truly was an interesting one. We saw new narratives form and old narratives seemingly die, and I thought it was a good time to go back and kind of take a look at the 2019 season and grade where each team was sitting at. Now I'm going to go through each division in a separate video, and we're going to start off with the NFC North today. And a little disclaimer, the Packers are currently playing against the Seahawks in the playoffs, so my opinions on the Packers may change a little bit depending on the outcome of this game and moving forward. So take that with a grain of salt, but this is largely for the regular season where these opinions come from. So we're going to start off with the Packers. In my personal opinion, this team's been the definition of pretenders this season and stand nowhere near some of the other talent-filled rosters in the NFC, and it's been said many times before that you can only be bailed out by high-end talent for so long, and it seems like Rodgers had a very down year this year, which is why I feel like the season was largely unimpressive for the Packers. Although the offense was a joke for most of the year, I will say that the Packers defense was finally becoming a threat in the second half of the season, anchored by performances by Adrian Amos and Zadarius Smith. But all that talent on defense will be for naught if the Packers don't get their glaring offensive issues fixed and find the eventual successor to Aaron Rodgers, because as it stands now, without Aaron Rodgers, that team doesn't even sniff a postseason berth. Moving on to the Minnesota Vikings, I feel like this team's been the epitome of hot and cold this season. Kirk Cousins has both had solid showings as well as playing into the narrative that he couldn't get it done in big games, and that left me rather conflicted on how to gauge this team given their inconsistent offensive performance. With talented receiving options all over the field, the Vikings do have potential to be an elite passing unit if Cousins was ever to get his shit together on a consistent basis. Aside from that, I really do like what the Vikings were able to do with the run game this year, building upon what Dalvin Cook started his rookie year, whose only real flaw was staying healthy, which was a concern coming into the 2017 draft. And the Vikings made a solid move in the 2019 draft in drafting Alexander Madison, who showed that he can keep the run game going even if Dalvin Cook does go down. And his skill set is extremely similar to Cook's, which is a nice depth move for Mike Zimmer, who obviously is a defensive-minded coach and prefers to pound the rock whenever he can. Honestly speaking, I believe the Vikings are only a few key pieces away from being a legitimate threat in the NFC. On to the Bears. Where the fuck do I even begin? Honestly, the season was just hard to watch as a Bears fan. I feel like every step that I saw Mitch Trubisky take over the last 2 years was for nothing, as he regressed to a level where I almost would have preferred to see Jay Cutler back under center. Say what you will about the production of Mitch's receivers, but a lot of that is on Mitch just for not seeing wide open receivers in his progressions, or just straight up overthrowing his receivers, namely Anthony Miller, who I feel would be an all-pro talent given better quarterback play. One positive that I can take away from the passing game is the complete dominance that Allen Robinson showed. He was not producing because of the guy under center, but in spite of him. I feel like he's one of those players that doesn't get nearly enough credit for producing in the current situation he's in. When the Bears first picked up Robinson, I questioned his ability to be a true number one receiver. And this season put a lot of that doubt to bed as he consistently was able to make something out of nothing. The blame doesn't completely fall on Trubisky though, because the offensive line play was absolutely horrendous this year, which doesn't help when you have a young QB who folds under pressure like Mitch does. My biggest takeaway from this Bears team is that something needs to be done about the offense ASAP. The defense can keep them in games, but when the offense can't stay on the field, it wears the defense down to the point where they become ineffective, not to mention notable injuries to Hicks and Trevathan this year. I don't believe that Trubisky is the answer for the Bears' future, and he's only going to squander the truly elite defense the Bears have right now. In my honest opinion, I believe Chicago should test the free agent market and look to bring in a veteran talent such as Cam Newton, who could potentially breathe new life into this offense, while the coaching staff tries to iron out Trubisky's shortcomings if the plan truly is to stay invested in him. And lastly, the Lions. What can I say about this team that hasn't already been said before? Regardless of how much talent they have on both sides of the ball, it always feels like they're about 5 steps behind the rest of the league. In a season where the Lions actually showed some promise, beating the Chargers and the Eagles early on, and damn near managing to topple the offensive juggernaut of the Chiefs, narrowly losing 34-30, it looked like it would finally be a turnaround year for Detroit. But the peak of that ride was in their Week 6 matchup against Green Bay, where they barely lost in a 23-22 effort with some questionable officiating surrounding the end of the game in favor of Green Bay. After that game, the hype had truly died as the team went on to lose their remaining 11 games, solidifying their spot at the bottom of the NFC North. With the receiving core consistently producing and Kerryon Johnson being an absolute beast running the ball, the Lions' main problem is just ineffectiveness on defense. They're not able to stop high-powered offenses and are unable to force crucial turnovers in order to give the offense a chance to stay in games. I believe in this year's draft they will try to address some of the defensive woes and attempt to become more competitive in the gradually improving NFC North. So that concludes the NFC North. If you like my opinions, make sure you drop a like on this video. If you disagree or want to discuss opinions, go ahead and drop that in the comment box below. I will most likely respond and talk football with you. I love discussing the game, love every aspect of it. And if you want to see the next episode, which will be on the NFC East, and want to get notified when I upload that, make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit the bell notification so you get notified when I upload it. Thank you for watching.